And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Here's another edition of myself and LiteratureDevil. Geez, what are we doing tonight, LiteratureDevil? You showed this to me this morning, and I was like, okay, what is this video?
I don't know. It's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting. I didn't know this existed until someone actually pointed me in the direction of this little channel.
It is a strange channel. It's a small channel, and I had a little chat with the creator of the video saying I understand this, etc. You can actually go to the channel yourself. It's called Wit and Folly. Very pleasant young lady. We disagree, of course, because I don't understand what the heroine's journey is. I was asking some questions. I asked her to come on to the chat tonight. She declined. Totally fine. I'm not here to force people to explain themselves, but I was genuinely lost. I wanted to know what's going on. And I didn't get much of a response aside from I don't know what I'm talking about. I should do some more homework. I should study some psychology. I should study some myth. I should read some more. Well, thank you very much. I studied psychology in university. I have a channel dedicated to stories. I'm constantly writing. I'm constantly reading. So this is the first I've heard of the heroine's journey, and I probably bet it's probably a first for a lot of our listeners of what the heroine's journey is.
Yeah, I had never heard of this either. Apparently, it was. You said it was published back in the '90s, right?
It was published back in the 90s. The original theory came back when Campbell was still alive. So he obviously heard of it from her students, which I believe was named Murdoch, Maureen
Yeah,
Murdoch.
Maureen Murdoch is
And
the
then,
author of Journey.
and then there's a second edition by Victoria Lynn Schmidt. And I just barely glanced through it. And it's honestly, it comes across, and this is my ignorance coming. So if I get this wrong, I apologize. It's as if someone did not understand what the hero's journey was and say, hey, where is X in the hero's? Why aren't there women in there? You know what? I'm going to make a female version of the hero's journey without understanding that the hero's journey has nothing to do with male or female. It
Yeah, I mean it's basically a feminist version of the hero's journey because they didn't feel like it was female enough.
That's what I thought. But I asked that to Wit and Folly. She says, no, this has nothing to do with feminism. And I'm like, are you sure? Because
Not specifically, but it is a more woman-centered, female-centered thing. Even though because the center of it is that they believe the hero's journey is specifically masculine. Now their standard for that, like the reason why they think that is because Murdoch said, "Hey, Joseph Campbell, this, what about women?" And he goes, "Well, this is not this hero's journey isn't really something women tend to go on. It's more of a man thing." But what he means by that is not it's just for men or centered around men. It's just that male characters and men just tend to go on these journeys of self discovery because it just happens to be like that. Because he saw that in all the stories he studied from around the world. But it's not specifically for men. Like I think you said earlier that he kind of uses heroine and hero interchangeably because it covers both men and women.
right, if you look at the actual The Hero of a Thousand Faces by Joseph Campbell, I have the 2004 edition. It's shown heroin appears 11 times in the script, and 10 of those times it is referenced or comes after the word hero. So he says, though there is something to be said for those rare heroes and heroines, or they confound and injure the hero and heroine, it's always hero and heroine. The only time heroine is used specifically, and he's referencing tragedy and comedy from the book Anna Karenina from Tolstoy. So, or sorry, is it the Dostoevsky? I'm sorry, I can't remember my Russian authors. Anyway, he's very specific when he uses the term heroine for that example. And there's no distinction between the two, whether male or female. Even the editor of the foreword of the 2004 edition says, listen, this is not a big deal. He says, I'm going to read this. This is very specific. But ultimately explaining these and the other figures in mythic tales and many kinds, isn't it odd? The more one studies and learns, the more one sees the mythic journey as not one belonging to any gender per se, regardless of the gender of the heroes and heroines or the antagonists presented in tales. With enough story mileage on you and with enough life lived in potholes as well as at pinnacles, and without confusing the very real issues of parity and disparity between men and women in many cultures across the world, one begins to see that the mythic quest is the journey of the soul. And just to interlude here, we're using the connection between Descartesian dualism, that is, the soul is the mind and thus the psyche. So we're talking about the person or the personality. It continues, it is one that has its yin and its yang, it's hard and soft, it's easy and challenging, it's durable and it's delicate, all the attributes, deficits, and more portrayed by mythic persons and creatures in tales since time began. Joseph Campbell was looking at the myths. He was not concerned with the male myth or the female myth or a specific character. The fact is, most of these stories have male protagonists. That's just the way of the world. That's history for us. That's how we were given them. There's plenty of stories with women. There's plenty of epics with all kinds of men and women characters, whether they're side characters or main characters. Campbell didn't care. He just looked at the Bible. He looked at Homer. He looked at all sorts of stories throughout history and found the patterns as well as the psychological connection between those patterns. That's Joseph Campbell. It's not the easiest read, honestly, if you do read Joseph Campbell, so I do understand someone wants to interpret it. The problem is, I think the interpretation, if I read the wiki, and again, I'm an ignoramus when it comes to the heroine's journey, so I apologize if I get this wrong. But Murdoch says, the feminine journey is about going down deep into soul, which is like, great, okay, so you're talking about the mind, which is exactly what you do in the hero's journey. Healing and reclaiming, okay, so that's a plot. I am redeeming myself because I have been injured or I have hurt myself, so I have to remove these problems from my life. Wow, it sounds just like a tortured character or someone who has a pack story or some past that has to be resolved. That's a plot line, not a pattern. So she's combining this weird journey with a plot, a specific plot, and then she says, while the masculine journey is up and out to spirit. And I'm thinking, well, what exactly does that even mean? So
what does that even mean?
Yeah, so the men are on a journey for their spirit, but the women are healing and reclaiming themselves.
I actually went through, because I didn't read the book, obviously, but I went through several videos of these people who have read the book explaining it, breaking down what the heroine's journey, at least the Murdoch version. And it seems like they're trying to, because Joseph Campbell wasn't thinking like a feminist, so he wasn't thinking like in terms of gender. The people who created the heroine's journey obviously were. So it actually begins gendered. So one of the first steps of the heroine's journey is that they have to cast away the feminine so that they can enter the man's world. This is terms they use, the man's world, because the idea of the heroine's journey is that the women have to, if they want to, for example, go out and get a job, become a CEO or whatever, they have to cast away their femininity and embrace the masculine so that they can survive and succeed in a quote-unquote man's world, because everything of value has been created and set, and the standards have been set by men. That's the theory behind this heroine's journey.
It seems as if, they have to then make the realization that that was a mistake. So when they come to the climax, if there is I don't even know if there is a climax in all of this transition between, going past the threshold and then changing and then coming back. You then realize, oh, you know what? I'm a woman, and I have to now become a woman and accept all the female qualities. And you're like, okay, again, there's nothing wrong with that as a pattern or as a guide, but it's not a template. Like I cannot honestly think of a single example of a story that involves a woman choosing to be male or masculine, having masculine qualities, realizing, hey, you know what? This doesn't work. I need to be a woman. And then that's the climax. And then saying, hey, I'm a woman now. I'm just as strong as it is. Therefore, this is a pattern throughout history. It's really, I've never seen that before. Whereas with the hero's journey, we can go way back to Sumerian epics. We can go to Star Wars, Harry Potter, Spider-Man, Matrix, The Lion King. Just list them all. There's a reason why Joseph Campbell's works and the heroine's journey is some crazy idea we've never heard of. So it's not wrong. It's just, where are you going with this? And please give us examples so we can quantify whatever the devil the theory is.
I dove deep into. I've been diving deep for years into different kinds of storytelling and different things. So this, if I saw this, would probably catch my attention. Like this. So I've never heard about this journey before. It's intriguing to me what this is because I never heard of it, and I've been looking into it since yesterday. And yeah, it just rings of feminist theory to me because that's all it is. It's gendered. Like Joseph Campbell's theory is his hero's journey is not gendered. It's mainly for everyone, it's for all heroes. But then one of his students, came up and said, well, "Okay, this is for men." And he said, "Well, men kind of go on this journey. It's not really something women tend to do, but they can." And they go, "Well, we need a heroine's journey." So they went ahead and made a gendered version of the
Yeah,
hero's
so
journey.
let's actually be fair and quote Campbell while he was alive. Again, this is
Yeah,
before the theory was published. This is like back in
yeah,
the day. So when shown Murdoch's model, he said, "Women don't need to make the journey. They are the place that everything is trying to get to." Campbell
hmm
felt that there was no need to have a feminine version of the hero myth because they do not go on the journey. Women were the goal of the hero. And that's fine. You could say
yeah,
that men are trying to get to the place where they are mature and have been transformed, that they are worthy of women. Fine.
yeah,
They don't have to be worthy. The goal of the story does not have to be to get the girl, unless we're talking
yeah. It
about
doesn't have to be.
unless we're talking about a
It's
romance.
it's to get something. That's the whole idea of the hero's journey. Is that you start off as a normal person, you change over the course of the journey, and you strive to gain something. It so happens to be that the journey is
Yeah.
usually having involving male characters going after the woman.
And there's
Going
nothing
after the
wrong
woman.
with having a female character going on to achieve the male standard or whatever that might
Yeah,
have been. So
I
we
mean, you
see
see
that,
this all the time.
yeah,
I mean, you see this all the time. Not even not in like in adventure stories. We see this maybe in romances. You know, that if it stars a female character and she's going after like this unattainable guy, maybe she starts off as not that attractive. Maybe she starts off kind of quirky, and then she over the course of the movie she kind of develops herself and goes through trials and tribulations. And at the very end of her journey, she's able to get the guy. It's the same thing. It's just a different genre, but it's the same journey to go on. It doesn't have to be gendered.
yeah, because as soon as I heard this, I was like, okay, if there's a heroine's journey, there has to be a male. What would be the male hero's equivalent? And all you do is, if you want to understand the validity of this heroine's journey, simply flip the gender of every stage, like shift from feminine to masculine, shift from masculine to feminine, identification with the masculine, identification with the feminine. Just flip the genders and see if that makes sense. If it doesn't, then this is wrong. This is incorrect. And we can do that. I'm not going to waste your time because anyone can do that simple logic puzzle. But let's get along with the video. It's going to be about 11 minutes, and that'll take us all night because, God, this is going to be like every 30 seconds I was like, what are you talking about? What are you going on about?
I mean, it's a very interesting theory. I just don't think it works as well as they think it does.
Yes. So if anyone has any good examples, either write them in the comments, leave them in the chat. I'd be happy to look at them. The best example I thought of was Tootsie, but that's a man playing a woman and then revealing himself he's a man. So it's kind of like the opposite of the heroine's journey. It's the same idea.
It would work in the hero's journey, but this journey is gender specific.
Specific, exactly. So, yeah. Anyway, let's go. So pretty. Look at that intro. Oh, got the guitar going. It's artsy fartsy.
Yeah, the first thing I noticed about this particular video is that it gives you that strong vibe of Ray's a magnificent character. You're just watching movies wrong. That's what the thumbnail kind of had.
Yeah, I pretty much put that in the description. I was like, by the way, you don't get Star Wars, you don't get this movie about wizards for children. It's just you just don't get these. It's like, okay, thanks.
You're watching Ray wrong. So
Yeah, that's even worse.
Heroine's Journey was written by Maureen Murdoch as a sort of answer to Joseph Campbell's hero's journey.
There is no
Okay.
answer. Okay,
This doesn't pose a question. It's just a journey. Also,
it's
she is doing the Maureen Murdoch version. So as
yes.
far
Okay,
as
so it is a guidebook. It's not a template. It's not a blueprint. These are patterns that Joseph has observed with the myths of culture throughout the centuries of the millennia. That's all the hero's journey is. You don't have to take it seriously. The pieces, just like the heroine's journey, can interplaced. They can be moved around, and they're not like definitive. Like you don't have to have all these steps. So
exactly.
there's nothing
You know what?
there's nothing right or wrong. Like there's no, like you can't just say, oh, this is a wrong theory. It's like it's not a theory. It's just a bunch of patterns.
Whenever they say answer in this sort of like context, it always feels like, for example, Joseph Campbell made the hero's journey say, yeah, this is the definitive male version, and this is how all the stories are supposed to be. With Joseph Campbell, he says this encompasses all stories. Believe it or not, the hero's journey is very controversial between different writers and professors and everything. A lot of people don't actually agree with Joseph Campbell, but it's not gendered. It's for everyone. But whenever they say this XYZ or whatever is the answer to something, they always see that something they're answering to as a threat, like as a challenge or a symbol of oppression. So that's kind of what you get. It's kind of so when you have the answer, like in this case, Murdoch's heroine's journey, it's celebrated as some sort of like a symbol of breaking free of oppression, and that's exactly what they're kind of playing at. It's one of the elements that feels like it's the center of this theory when you look into it.
I'm going to take it as more of a literal statement because this title of the video is "Why You Don't Get Ray," and the answer to that is this theory. So I'll just take it for what the word means.
Mm-hmm. It is a pattern of this is the answer to X with this sort of mentality,
Right.
or with sort of like a mentality. This is the answer to X. It's always the answer is always some sort of like a NPC or a feminist answer to what they think is a symbol of oppression.
Right, but again, by the author of the video, she says this has
A feminist thing, yeah.
nothing to do with feminism.
Well, yeah, I don't think it is an actual feminist thing. It's not a feminist theory thing, but it has a lot of those ideals in it. But it's not overtly feminist. It's not like it's not man hating or anything. It's just a woman's journey or a journey centered around women. Right. But it's not like a man hating thing.
The only thing I can specifically target that's feminist, if you read again the Wikipedia, it begins like if you read before it even starts to get into the pattern. It begins with a breaking away from feminine ideals and turning towards the patriarchal values.
Yeah, because according to the theory behind the heroine's journey, men have already taken over the world. Like it's everything in life and everything of value was created and set by men. So in order for the heroine to venture out into the world and start her own journey, like I don't know, to become a CEO or a doctor or whatever, she has to cast away her femininity and embrace the masculine so that she can thrive and succeed in a quote unquote man's world. That's part of the theory.
I think that's as far as we can take it. Again, not knowing it, I can't comment any further, so let's just keep going.
Campbell believed that women did not need to take the hero's journey, that the woman simply needed to realize her own power.
This is only in response, as I said before, to when shown that there was a feminine model. He could have been shown a male model. He says, well, men don't need to take the journey either. It's just, what's specific about the masculine does the male need to do to go on a journey? He has to be the provider for the family. Okay, so every story is going to be about the male acquiring wealth. Is that what a masculine journey would be? If we talk about the stereotypes of men, it's a strange thing for Campbell to be reduced to gender and go, oh yeah, well women are you don't have to. They're the target of men. Well, men don't have to. They're the provider of services and goods to the family. It's like, okay. I have to see the context of the question when brought to Joseph for this statement even to make sense.
Because like we said before, I think, was that he's looking at ancient myths, and usually the people who go on these sorts of adventures were men, like Odysseus, for example.
Yeah. And if you look at the men, like let's take the Sumerian epic, like Gilgamesh, okay?
Oh, you please. Please do.
Good Lord. Gilgamesh destroyed an entire forest just because he could. He pretty much raped all the women he came across. He disregarded the goddess of love, Ishtar. He just said, get
Yeah.
lost. So,
I've seen better. Okay, get out of here.
yeah,
Thought.
it's not like he's like the pinnacle of masculine ideals. So,
Because I'm not sure if people. Well, I don't want to presume, but the idea of what we think of a hero kind of kind of changed over time. So you have people like Odysseus and Gilgamesh who were doing like things that we would see as not very heroic, like cheating on their wives and etc. and so forth.
right.
But the thing is about a hero. The ideal of the hero used to be someone who is greater than most people who are above the average person. And so from the ancient times, it kind of funneled down. So it came from a larger than life personalities and people like Odysseus and Gilgamesh who are there like battling with gods and becoming pawns of mythical beings and playing on world scales to I don't know, the protagonists of Pulp Fiction. People who are just walking around every day. So that from that point of the ancient times, so now our idea of kind of a hero has changed. So the hero's journey is kind of. I remember Campbell studied the ancient myths, like the Odyssey. So it's not
Right.
about doing good things. It's about doing what Odysseus did and overcoming powerful obstacles.
You can
And
definitely apply that to Batman, who's pretty much an anti-hero. You could apply that to Beowulf. Beowulf's another classic. Beowulf is kind of not as popular because there's very little in terms of internal struggle or internal conflict with Beowulf. We don't really know what's going on in his head, but
Right.
he still matches the mold. So that's really why Odysseus is probably more well known or more classical than Beowulf, just because we don't get to know inside what's going on, even though it's implied that he has problems. But this is then criticizing a specific writer over a specific expression of a hero or protagonist character, not necessarily that everything that Campbell analyzed has to fit a mold, because it's not a mold. So that's fine. We don't have to go any further into the theoretical views of Campbell being right or wrong. It's just a pattern that he's observed, and this is just a strange interpretation. So let's just see what Miss Folly has to say.
Stunned and unsatisfied with this response, Murdoch created a journey for the female hero that both echoed the hero's journey as well as found deeper meaning in the adventure of life.
Okay, why does the heroine's journey find deeper meaning in life than the normal journey? This doesn't make too much sense. Just because it's a woman? No, of course not. That's content. That's the actual story you're telling. Whether or not this pattern makes any sense. It's like saying, oh, you know what? Batman would have been so much better if it was actually a woman, and and she had deeper meaning in becoming a mother or some nonsense like that. Like that's like, okay, I guess.
the bat suit is only perfect when it fits a woman.
Oh Jesus, no. you, know, if she had more feminine wiles and charms and sensibilities, and she rejected her masculinity or she rejected her femininity at the start, and then went on a 10-year training stint, and then came back a woman. You're like, what? What does that mean?
But so the good thing about this particular section is that we actually have the cycle of the heroine's journey. So see, look, it begins with separation of the feminine. That's what we were talking about earlier, where the woman has to cast away from her femininity to then this next part, identification with the masculine and gathering allies. So what that means is that the woman must cast away her femininity so that she can enter the man's world to which she can gather allies. And I've been explained to that I've been woman-splained to that this gathering of allies means that she finds people who support her, or it could be like a course she's taken, something that helps her to prepare for the trials ahead. And then you have the road of trials, meeting ogres and dragons. So this could be a bunch of things. I don't know, bad boyfriends, people who stand in her way, obstacles that stop her from achieving her goals, and then finding the boon of success, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, up to the boon. I think that's when it really changes past Campbell. After that, it's no longer Campbell. And really, again, I posed the logical conundrum here. Imagine the separation from the feminine was the separation from the masculine if it was a masculine hero's journey. And you could see the oddness that this sounds like, as if there's some validity to masculine or feminine values, unless you're specifically telling a story about a man trying to become masculine or a woman trying to become feminine. That's specific because that's a plot. That's not a pattern. That's not a, it's not, as Murdoch said herself, it's about finding the healing and reclaiming of the soul, specifically the feminine soul. And you're like, well, that's a plot. That's not a mythos pattern. It's kind of strange to try to combine those two as if she didn't interpret Campbell right at all in the first place, and she made this weird pattern. So
let's see here. Okay, so we can. I think someone autistic. You mentioned Dany from Game of Thrones. It kind of fits here. I mean, I could see how her specific journey can fit here. She separates herself from the feminine. She was very feminine to begin with, and she kind of had to embrace with the what are those people called? The Count. What are they called?
Which
I forgot those people. The people she was with, the Drogo, Count Drogo.
Oh, those guys. Okay, the horse riders, right?
Yeah, horse. I forget what they're called, but she had to embrace what they saw as
Dothraki.
valuable. Yeah, Dothraki. There we go, Dothraki. So she had to embrace their culture and what they saw as valuable, and to become a leader, she had to embrace things like assertiveness, cruelty, all that stuff, so that she can succeed. And then the road of trials, she meets ogres and dragons. She didn't actually meet dragons in that sense. She kind of controlled the dragons, but the ogres and dragons basically means that she encountered obstacles, people who got in her way, which she did a lot. And then finding the boon of success, which was, she found the boon of success. She managed to bring together several Khalasars, I believe, in the end. I think at the very end, she managed to bring together some Khalasars, or at least a bunch of allies. And she did bring together some allies at the very beginning, at the identification of masculine. And when she actually embraced her masculine, that quote-unquote masculinity, embracing the masculine, she actually brought together allies. People started to flock to her. For that, I think that one of the first ones was the servant, and then she got more and more people as time went on. Then boon of success, and then but awakening to feelings of spirituality and death. So I could see her following these things up to the boon, but waking up to feelings of spirituality and death. I'm not sure if that ever happened.
It's a very specific pattern that you could attribute to some female heroines. You could. I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's not something that is inapplicable to the actual hero's journey. These are like, to me, like disregarding the male or female, like this is all stuff that's happening normally in a story. There's a monster you have to slay or overcome or realize. And then you have, I don't know where the climax is in all this. And this is where we have a problem with the dramatic structure in general. Because where is this revelation? And the only revelation is the descent to the goddess, and saying, "Oh, I gotta now connect to the feminine." And
so I could see the pattern with Dany, especially over here in the later sections. So I could see how this could fit a woman's feminine journey. But what I want to know is how does her journey fit with a traditional hero's journey? Would she fit there too? Because if she does,
it's too specific, I think, to say that they have to abandon their life, which you could say the same in the hero's journey. Okay, they abandon their life, which happens to be feminine and soft and delicate, so they can become strong enough to withstand the conflict they're about to face. And then they realize, oh, you know what? I don't need to be strong anymore. I'm already strong. Now I can go back to being soft and sensitive. You're like, okay, good.
I think to integrate masculine and feminine. So you have to be strong and feminine.
It's
the masculine strength that they valued so much, and then you reclaim your femininity.
It's a very odd thing to start categorizing things with male and female. We could just say the actual attribute. She has to be strong. Okay. She has to be delicate. Okay. She has to be this or that. And then she has to gain back the things she lost. Okay, great. We're with you so far. Nothing to do with male or female.
Yeah, the thing about the heroine's journey is that they say it's not feminist, but it kind of has that same mentality from feminism, because modern feminism has that mentality that masculinity is strength and femininity is weakness. This is their mentality. That's why they want women to go into STEM. That's why they want more female CEOs, all that stuff. They want more women to embrace the masculine parts because they think masculinity is strength. They can't really grasp that a woman can be a powerful hero without really going into masculinity at all. That they can stay feminine and still be a hero.
Yeah, so we gotta see how this connects to Ray. So it's gonna take a bit, but we'll get there. Okay.
Yeah, we're good there.
The steps of the heroine's journey are as follows: separation of the feminine, identification with the masculine and the gathering of allies, the road of trials, finding the boon of success, awakening to feelings of spiritual aridity, initiation and descent to the goddess, urgent yearning to reconnect with the feminine, healing the mother-daughter split, healing the wounded masculine, and the integration of masculine and feminine.
See, to me, that sounds very, very feminist.
Yeah, what do they mean by healing the wounded masculine? It seems very situational too.
Yeah, it's like the woman abandons her femininity to get it back, and then she has to repair the masculine aspect she acquired and then left. These are very specific qualities that I would not associate with a hero or heroine specifically, unless their story has to do specifically with being a man trying to be a woman or a woman trying to be a man. Okay? So that could be anything from being a mother to a father to a really gruff guy learning to chill out and be nice, right? So you could take it multiple ways, but it's just so specific that you're like, okay, give me an example of a story that actually works this way. And again, the only thing I could come up with is Tootsie, where Dustin Hoffman is playing a female in a daytime soap opera, and he learns, like he was scrounging, he was trying to survive in Hollywood or whatever, and he becomes this persona of a woman, and he gets the same impact. Like we learn all about what women have to do to survive in the world, and how he finally throws off his female coverings and tells the woman he loves what's going on. So that's the closest I can get to about specifically male and female traits, literally becoming a woman and playing the part. So if anyone has any stories in anime, in manga, in comics, in modern telling that this matches a male or female journey, please show us, because I'd love to see how this works.
Because I can't think of a single instance that I think if you can fit it just right, I think maybe Daenerys' journey might fit this if you look at it, but I'm not really sure if those were necessary steps. I think there's things that just kind of happened. And if you look at the hero's journey, if you say that she took a hero's journey, she was called to adventure because her family was forced to marry her off so that they can gain power. And she was reluctant, but she went ahead anyway. She had supernatural aid because of the whole. I actually don't know if she had supernatural aid to begin with, but the Guardian Threshold is now that when they crossed over into the realm of the Dothraki, and that was, she kind of left home after that. She went off into a foreign land, and then after that she had a helper, she had several little allies, including Drogo. Her brother kind of died during that mix. She had a mentor who was not only Drogo, but I think her servant. She had several. I think she had several mentors over her journey, and she had helpers. She had a revelation. She had a revelation transformation from the timid girl she was. Her trials and tribulations brought her to a changed from a timid girl to like more of a leader, and she started to step into her role. She had a sense of atonement at one point, I believe, where she had to. Sometimes she goes too far. She had to. I think one of her steps of atonement was to reclaim the throne. Was to try to anyway. I'm not really sure what kind of step was her atonement, but that's how that works. It could be several different things, I suppose. Trying to recall all the Game of Thrones by memory, but
Yeah, you were doing a very good job of trying to fit this mold, or rather the opposite, trying to fit this character into this mold. I don't know why you're trying so hard, but you're doing a very good job of it.
yeah, I mean, because if you can take all the events that Daenerys Targaryen goes through, you can fit her into either one of these because she happens to be a woman. But the thing is, you can take everything she's gone through, and you can fit her in the hero's journey. It fits. So because that's true, this heroine's journey doesn't really fit as well. It doesn't really seem necessary because it just seems like a more complicated, more wordy hero's journey, but with more feminist theory behind it.
Well, again, I was told it's not feminist, so I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt, but she just listed the steps without explaining them, which I hate, because it's like, oh, there's all these steps. What the heck does all this mean? So hopefully she'll go over them step by step with Ray.
Mm-hmm.
And this is about as far as I went. I think 2 minutes was as far as I went, so everything else is new here. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Ray arrives on Octo. She's essentially beginning the second act of her heroine's journey, awakening to feelings of spiritual aridity and beginning her descent to the goddess.
Spiritual aridity. So I don't know exactly what that term means. When I think of spiritual, I think of, your aspiration or your feeling towards something. And then aridity, I'm thinking like a desert, like this spiritual desert.
Mm-hmm.
So this nihilistic plane of metaphysical reality. Like, okay.
Okay, so the hero's journey had things like call to adventure, supernatural aid, overcoming the father. The heroine's journey has spiritual aridity. What? This is very different, I have to say.
It's a difficult thing. People are making a joke in the chat saying a heroine journey. It's like, yeah, okay.
Heroine's journey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Her hero's journey, as a part of the entire saga, is still apparent, although she has also completed a mini hero's journey in The Force Awakens.
That's nonsense. That little part where she closes her eyes and opens them again, that was complete nonsense. That was absolute stupidity.
That was like playing dumb. Altered Beast, and you get a power up, and it goes power up, and then she suddenly is able to defeat Kylo Ren. That's
suddenly. There's no reason why. Like, she's not remembering anything. She's not like summoning strength. Kylo Ren is winning up to that point. Then suddenly she closes her eyes for a few seconds. She opens them again, and she beats him. There's no reason why. She just does.
He says the word "the Force," then she goes "the Force," and then she just closes her eyes for 5 seconds. All of a sudden, she's amazing.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Close my eyes for a few seconds. Type in the cheat code so I can win.
Unlock all God mode on. Yeah.
God mode on, exactly.
The first act of the heroine's journey is, in a way, the first 2 acts of the hero's journey. The heroine's journey provides what the hero's journey lacks.
Oh, it lacks something. Okay. Good to know.
That's what it always is. The answer is always like, okay, so you're just being a bigot. So this is the feminist or the NPC answer, which actually gets rid of all your bigotry and makes it more wholesome or something.
Because Joseph Campbell didn't reference Jason and the Argonauts or the Iliad and the Odyssey or Anna Karenina or any of these other stories that have prominent female characters.
No, Joseph Campbell didn't reference anything. He's kind of like, I hate women, so I'm just going to make a journey where women can't participate.
I don't know. It's just a strange thing.
Namely, inner fulfillment and connections to other characters in the story.
Yeah, because that never happens in the normal hero's journey at all. Just no inner fulfillment. There's no desire. And she has the person has no relationship whatsoever to the other characters. All women. Women do that.
I think they went ahead and said the first act of the heroine's journey is like the first 2 acts of the hero's journey. And the hero's journey in this context is the man's journey. So it's the man's male journey when they refer to the hero's journey from now on. Because this is the woman's journey.
It's tough to differentiate because they're very similar up to the threshold. So
you have a $2 super chat from Adam Warford.
Oh, thank you.
So she's already done. So why should we care? Why we should care?
Well, the reason why we care is we like storytelling patterns, and I gave the benefit of the doubt to this person, and we're going to keep going till she proves her point that, you know what, we just don't get Rey. And this heroine's journey is going to show us that this is how you should interpret Rey, right?
Yeah, then we've all been watching the movies wrong.
Exactly.
The idea that these two journeys can fit together is not a new one. A good hero should experience a significant inner struggle as well as an outer one. Male heroes tend to experience the latter in greater numbers, but female characters tend to feel more real if their path is reminiscent of the heroine's journey.
Okay, so...
Feel more real? What?
So only inner struggles happen with the males, but external struggles happen with the females, or vice versa? What? I'm a bit confused here. Doesn't that mean it's just bad writing if you don't have inner conflict?
I think so. I mean, unless it's just like an action movie or something. We still have internal conflict. It's just even in an action movie, you still have that.
With Rey, what's her inner conflict? Does anyone know?
She can't have any inner conflict. She doesn't have a character.
She
wants a blank slate.
She wants to stay on the desert planet because she's waiting for her parents, and then she decides not to.
Yeah, she decides not to. Not for any real reason. Like she doesn't really like the resistance or anything like that. It's just because she likes BB-8 for some unknown reason. Like if you watch the first movie, she wants to stay there so she can wait for her parents until until she meets BB-8, and then she's willing to go off on a journey of adventure.
And you can call that passing the threshold if we're following the patterns. But after that, she's fully committed. So what is her internal conflict anymore?
It doesn't even feel real either because she just goes off on an adventure, more like because it's a thing she's supposed to do rather than an organic push. Like Luke Skywalker started off wanting to get off that planet, desperate to get off that planet and go off into his own adventure. Rey didn't want to do that. She actually wanted the opposite. She just wanted to stay there. So it's kind of weird and jarring when she went off on an adventure because she wanted to help out BB-8. A droid, by the way, who she saved and then immediately abandoned. So it's not like she immediately fell in love or anything with this droid or anything. She saved BB-8, abandoned him, and then went on a journey for him.
I can't think of any specific female qualities like motherly love or sisterly love or any of those, specifically female emotions that Rey had, unless you're talking about BB-8, I guess. But how would you have feminine feelings for a robot? We're trying to do our best here to interpret a feminine journey with specific female examples from Rey, but again, Rey could have been a guy, and it would have been just as bad. And then
I think what they're trying to do is the first step. They're doing that pretty well. Is that they're separating the feminine from her. They don't want their female character to be feminine in any way. So that part was actually finished, I think, successfully. But I don't think that's what they're trying to do. I don't think they're trying to follow the heroine's journey. I just think they didn't want to have a feminine hero.
Maybe. I don't know what JJ's planning, but this theory is not really connecting very well with me so far. But we don't know what the theory is exactly, and Wit and Folly is going to explain it to us. Let's keep going.
By the end of this video, I hope that you will come to understand why Rey has to experience this type of spiritual feminine journey.
Okay, great, but that should be present in the actual primary source, not some guidebook.
I don't want you to explain it to me later. It should be in the movie. Also, what spiritual journey? What spiritual awakening? That's what they're going over. The spiritual awakening. What spiritual awakening? That she bumped heads with Kylo Ren once and now is able to manipulate the Force? What spiritual awakening did Rey go through?
I guess that would have to be something like that, because there's really nothing to her character that gets revealed. Aside
the closest thing I can think of is that thing with all the mirrors, that portion of all the mirrors where they reveal that her parents are space trash.
They reveal nothing. It's like they reveal and show us that her parents are nothing important. You're like,
I mean, it looks like she goes on a spiritual journey, but she doesn't really learn or change or do anything. It's just she's going through the motions. So explain to me what her spiritual journey is. Maybe she's about to. I'm not really sure.
Exactly. We got to put all in the benefit of Wit and Folly here.
It is not enough to simply do an outline of the heroine's journey. In The Last Jedi, though, there's a lot more going on here.
Okay, so already the outline has failed because the movie is so complicated. It's just you can't even apply it.
It's just so above the normal person. Ryan Johnson's such a
So that means she's going to explain it to us outside
6D
of,
chess level genius.
yeah, outside of the actual heroine's journey. So be ready, guys. Here we go. Some real truths are going to start popping out of this video.
Rather than attempting to interpret all the layers present, I will focus on the visual symbolism accompanying Rey on her spiritual journey.
Visual symbolism.
There it is. That's the moment I was talking about. That's her. So that is her quote unquote spiritual journey.
A misinterpretive form of visual, not symbolism with a idea or what she could represent, but an actual literal visual symbolism which represents a internal conflict, perhaps. I guess.
I don't know what this represents because it's just a bunch of her over and over and over and over again. So with Luke, it was he's fighting Darth Vader in the swamp. He defeats Darth Vader and he finds that Darth Vader is actually him. So it's a mirror image of him, symbolizing that it could be symbolizing that one, Darth Vader is his father, two, that he has the same potential for evil as Vader does. This one, I don't know what this was. It was just a line of her same image with no real differentiating like details to either of them.
So for symbolism to work, first off, it has to be literal, which is good because it's visual in this case, and it has to be clear. So whatever is there symbolically has to represent an aspect of the character's characterization. For example, if the person represents death, so you have a symbol that represents death, or a foreshadowing of death is about to occur, or something along those lines. So you showcase an aspect of the person's internal whatever, their character, their conflict, their feelings, and then it's shown throughout. So it's not only visual, it's not only literal, it's repetitive. You have to have those three elements, and if you don't, it's very hard to pick up on these things. So hopefully she's going to say, hey, you know what? Maybe it wasn't as repetitive, but it's still there. Maybe she's going to show us that. And we were just too blind to see it because we just couldn't see it the first time and only time, right?
Exactly. And if I were to take this little section here at face value, the symbolism it says to me is that she's going to be the same in the future and the past. Everything she's done is led up to this moment, and everything she's done after this is, well, after this, it's all copying and mirroring her actions right now. And so maybe it might be a symbolism, symbolic of every action she takes now is going to echo throughout the future. But there's no symbolism of spiritual awakening. For example, the symbolism in the Bible of the white dove symbolizes peace. A rainbow symbolizes a promise to never flood the world again. This doesn't have any overt symbolism. You kind of have to make it for yourself.
Which is not the sign of good storytelling. Again, it's possible, but you really have to be clear on what this symbol means, and then it has to be understood by the general audience, saying, "Oh, that's what sunshine means. That's what getting stabbed by a lightsaber means, or whatever." So you can't just sit there going, "Oh, so the mirrors represent nothing?"
What exactly? And it could have been a better spiritual awakening if she actually saw her parents here, and they were leading her down the dark path, or they were trying to prevent her from her journey, or something. You know, if she's walking down a road, she has a spiritual road that's being taken physical form, and she meets her parents, and her parents are trying to make her leave her journey, leave her road, and head back home. And it's up to her to fight against the love she has for her parents, because that was a main plot she had from the very beginning. It was waiting for her parents and wanting to see them again. So it's up to her whether she wants to quit the journey and go home with her parents, or continue on down that journey. But that's not what we get here. We just get a bunch of Rey and I don't know what.
Yeah. So remember, folks, when you have an argument for literary interpretation, don't resort to symbolism on your first go. Okay.
And don't do this with the mystery box theory in your back pocket. This is symbolism if you use the mystery box theory.
Well, let's not even jump into that. Oh dear.
Journey that runs parallel to her heroine's journey. When Rey first meets Luke, she is still experiencing
hold on. So there's two journeys being taken by Rey. That's why we don't get it. She's taking not one but two journeys. One, heroine's journey. Two, spiritual journey. And I thought the spiritual journey was part of the heroine's journey, because I think that was spiritual aridity.
I'm officially lost, but
So Rey is taking two journeys in this movie. That's why we don't get it.
okay.
It's kind of like that when someone came up with that ring theory for George Lucas to explain how the prequels were actually masterpieces and
Oh dear, let's not
genius work.
Let's not. Yeah, let's not do that. I want to learn how this is a two-stage journey for Rey.
Yeah, yeah, she's walking two journeys now.
Mm.
The previous stage of her heroine's journey, the illusion of success. She succeeded in defeating Kylo Ren at the end of The Force Awakens. She has found Luke to help with the resistance, but what does Rey want? She wants belonging. She wants to know who she is and why she is a part of this story.
When? Since when? When was that ever brought up? The only thing I know about Rey is that she wants to wait for her parents.
That is one of the strangest desires by a protagonist. Why am I here? Why am I doing this? It's like, wait, no.
But you know who else had that sort of same desire? Patrick Bateman. That's kind of what he exactly says. Why don't you just quit that job, Patrick? Because I want to fit in. And it was so he could fit in, so they can go on his murderous killing sprees at night.
So really, you're telling the story of a woman slowly descending into madness because her lack
That
of
would be cool.
identity.
That would be awesome. that would be an actual movie I wanted to see.
And she can't connect with anyone because no one can understand her and no one can explain to her what's going on. And the only person who can is dead. And you're like, okay.
I'm pretty sure people would have an easier time understanding her if she had a character, but she doesn't. So that's why it's so hard to connect with her. She's a nothing. She's being played by an actor, but the actor is playing almost nobody.
Well, she does want to fit in. That's true. But it's never really brought up after she says, I want to know my place in all this. You're like, okay.
I need someone to show me my place.
So can you figure that out? No. You got to go crack some rocks. Okay.
I need someone to show me my place in all this.
She knows in her heart that she is nobody, but doesn't want to admit that to herself. When Luke milks the sea cow,
Okay.
How did we get from that to when Luke milks the sea cow? What?
Okay.
Where would just
Can we hold on? Let's go back a little bit. I didn't hear that again.
nobody, but doesn't want to admit that to herself. When Luke milks the sea cow, the camera clearly focuses on the teat. Rey looks away in disgust. She is uncomfortable with the female anatomy.
what?
She's not
What?
Hold-
Are you kidding me?
They're making this scene a symbolic gesture?
Because the alien sea cow is feminine, and because it has udders, she is disgusted
By the female anatomy.
by the. It's like, are you serious? This is the argument. This is holy Jesus. What are we getting ourselves into here?
So this whole Luke Skywalker milks a alien cow and drinks blue milk. Now this has become a major symbolic plot point.
I don't get it. I have to continue. I have to find out what she has to say.
accepting of this side of her sexuality.
No.
What?
No.
Hold on.
That has nothing to do with her sexuality.
The object, that's one of the weird things about Rey and, well, any of these NPC HW kind of characters, is that they kind of toss away sexuality unless they are homosexual. Like, they can't, if they are heterosexual, then sexuality is not really taking place here.
You're trying to tell me an alien sea cow lactating is her not accepting her female sexuality? Are you serious?
Now, if for whatever bizarre reason we replaced her with Luke Skywalker, you could make the argument there, because one of the reasons why he wanted to go off into the galaxy in the first place, because his hormones were lit up by Princess Leia. In fact, when you go to the Death Star, he was pretty much content to sit around in that little control room where they stormed into, until he learned that Princess Leia was in the Death Stars, and then his hormones kind of lit up his brain, and that's what drove him to convince Han Solo to go on that little mission to rescue her, because he found Princess Leia hot. So the object of sexuality would be in the original trilogy, but sexuality is never really mentioned in The Force Awakens or The Last Jedi.
How is a lactating udder or breast or whatever have anything to do with sexuality? Can someone tell me that?
At best, I think you could probably fit into symbolism as a mother, like a more of a role of the feminine as the mother, but not really sexuality.
It's not sexual. This is not a sexual scene. There's nothing. There's nothing.
Series.
There's nothing sexual about a mother feeding her young through their breasts or their udder.
Exactly.
What are you talking? Like, this is like really reaching.
There's nothing sexual about the Disney series at all. Like Disney Star Wars, there's nothing sexual about it at all, unless you think about Lando. That's about it.
You could make the argument that the only element of motherly aspects is this beached whale who happens to be female. You could say, okay, that is technically female, and we don't know the actual physiology of this thing to say, okay, now it's given birth, it can now lactate. Maybe it lactates all year round. Maybe there is no sexual cycle. Maybe there is no affiliation with how the lactate or whatever acid that comes out of the udders works. This is like really reaching. It's like saying, you know what, menstruation is really sexual because it has to do with the female body. And you're like, well, wait a second, no, it really isn't. I mean, this cow could have been doing that, but because it's feminine, therefore she's suddenly shunned by the female aspect of this alien creature. Because menstruation. It's like, no, that makes no sense.
It's kind of almost sad because she's describing a much better movie than what we actually got.
Imagine if it was a male and there was this masculine sea moose or whatever, and it was like breaking rocks with its teeth, and Ray, the guy, would be like, oh my, I'm shunning myself from this really strong masculine alien creature who's so powerful.
What if it was a space horse and Luke milked the horse?
Oh God! Like just flip the gender symbol. Yeah. Oh geez. Just don't even put that idea in my head. Just flip the sexes, right? And imagine this is a masculine or alien doing something masculine, and Ray is a guy, and he's looking at this sea moose breaking rocks, being very strong and powerful, and Ray's like, oh, this is, I don't like this. Like, it's
maybe
the same.
Saw like a space moose, or maybe like a large male bird bringing food home to his kids.
Something
and then
like that, yeah.
Luke looks away and because that means something, you can't embrace his male sexuality.
It's something like along those lines, and if you have to then apply it to the male as well, and it just does not work. It's not. First off, it's not clear. Secondly, there's nothing sexual about breaking rocks or milking an udder. That's a very strange thing to say. I'm sorry, but that's not sexual, and it wasn't presented sexually. Even if it was supposed to be sexual, it was never presented as such. So this is reaching, and this is. I wouldn't even call it biased. I would just call it a very bad interpretation.
It's kind of like they liked Rey. They wanted to defend Disney Star Wars for whatever reason, and they wanted to do it, and they also wanted to use the heroine's journey, and they wanted to do that at the same time, and they kind of did this video.
I think she does not actually understand what the heroine's journey is. Even if she read up on it, because she would have easily, if she knew about it, she would have easily gone into the steps and explained them and said, "Oh, this is what happens here. This is what happens there." But
it's kind of like a 101. I mean, that's because you have to assume that people you're watching your video don't know what the heroine's journey is all about. Listing them isn't really helping me much.
Yeah, again, I'm going to post a link just so you guys want to see some actual heroes' journeys, and there's a whole bunch in there. And it goes through Harry Potter, Star Wars, Spider-Man, etc. And it goes through every single step. Okay? It's not easy to do that because you have to pay attention, you have to see the patterns, etc. But they're all there, all the big popular ones. Okay, you can't do that. If you could, it would be easy. We all go, oh, you know what? There's a female aspect to things we didn't think about. It'd be obvious, but it's not.
And some of it's very specific. Like I don't see this happening in a pattern of stories. I see this happening maybe in a few of them.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going here because this has just derailed the entire conversation.
In the previous film, she fully embraced her masculine, tapping into the dark side, defeating.
Okay, so apparently
How?
fighting Kylo Ren is masculine?
Yeah, apparently fighting Kylo Ren is masculine because femininity does not mean fight, apparently. And also, the dark side is masculine through and through, apparently.
Kylo. So this initial look, although also a silly gag, is a deliberate visual of Rey being reluctant to face her female sexuality.
How? Explain.
Maybe she's reluctant to look at it because it's gross. It's a gross scene.
This makes. How does this? I like this is some mental gymnastics. I can't even start with. Like, how do you get from that to this?
Even Luke Skywalker hates this scene. She's drinking the milk, and Mark Hamill is just disgusted. He has a disgusted look on his face. So this scene is disgusting. Maybe she's not. Maybe it's not something deep. Like she's appalled by your female sexuality. Maybe it's just disgusting. Maybe she's not disgusted by sexuality. She's just disgusted.
This has, again, guys, a lactating anything has nothing to do with sexuality. Okay, nothing. To even connect that to an alien creature is insane. Okay? This, especially a Star Wars creature where there's barely any backstory for half of these aliens. It's like, hey, let's put a devil in there. Okay. Let's put a squid in there. Let's put a guy with a triangular head. Okay, looks cool. That's as far as Lucas thought it out compared to Tolkien or C.S. Lewis or all the other great science fiction writers.
Yeah, if it was cool, then I mean, it goes in the film. Someone thought this alien thing was cool.
Yeah,
and they put it in here.
This is a prop. This is a real prop that they had to helicopter in that Ryan Johnson really wanted. So,
kind of like how William Shatner won that 3-breasted cat lady.
Yeah, okay.
You know, it's sometimes they're not there for subtle symbolism. Sometimes they're just there. Okay, sometimes a cigar is just a cigar.
Roddenberry and his ideas were never the best or clearest. He needed people around him to tell him no. Exactly the same with George Lucas. So, but with Ryan Johnson, full reign, free reign to do whatever he wanted.
Not long after, Rey is called by the tree. So begins her descent.
The tree?
Tree? What tree? I don't remember tree. I remember her cracking the ground as soon as he sat on it.
I thought she was called by the dark side of that hole in the ground.
Yeah, me too.
The tree never...
Is it an inverted tree? Is it the tree upside down inside the ground? What tree?
Well, there's the tree with the sacred text, but that's like the where the books were being kept. But the tree
that's
never,
her descent?
Yeah, the tree never spoke to her. It was the dark side hole in the ground with the water rushing in. So I don't know. Maybe she got her symbolism wrong. I don't know. It just... Anyway, we'll just keep going.
Okay, so the tree. Okay, descent. The tree is symbolic of her descent, her beginning of the descent in the heroine's journey.
Okay. Again, I think she has the setting incorrect. I'm going to assume the hole in the ground.
Because this happens in the hero's journey too. One of the ancient Greek things is that they go to the underworld. There's also the abyss with earth and rebirth in the hero's journey. So what is this?
Right.
It's the same thing.
You could say the seduction of a temptress, I guess, in the hero's journey, where they reject the temptress. But again, you have to draw that connection before you go further.
Okay, let's see what she has to say.
Exactly.
Maybe she has a good point. I don't know.
There are 4 clear visuals in this movie that represent air, water, fire, and earth.
Oh my God, why are we doing this? Why?
I think because of feminist, this is kind of feminist theory kind of stuff where women are connected to the earth spiritually. They are kind of like mini avatars, I think.
This has nothing to do with the movie. This. Oh God. Okay.
This was not in there. This was cheating. Okay, you
This-
are doing some major gymnastics to do
We
this
can
one.
go to the pre-Socratics. We can say all their ideas of atomos or atmos, meaning what were the elements of the universe or galaxy. We can talk about love and strife. We can talk about the idea of helium or hydrogen. We can do all this crap. This is not obvious to the audience.
It doesn't count unless it's obvious. I mean, at least a little bit obvious. You know, something that we go back and say, oh, we missed that or something. Oh, that was always there.
And what
This
the
is something
hell?
you're connected together by nothing.
What the hell do these pre-Socratic ideas of the elements have anything to do with her femininity?
Because women are connected to the earth spiritually. I think
are you
that's part of
serious?
feminist theory.
Are you
that's
serious?
part of feminist theory. Like part
Oh
of feminist theory. They have I think it's called emotional intelligence. They're connected to the earth.
So they're like Captain Planet. They just sort of
Yeah.
combine their powers and.
I mean, according to the feminists, I haven't read that, but according to the feminists, they say that one of the arguments is that women are very earthly, very bound to the earth, and therefore more powerful and more important, or whatever. So, I think that's why she's going here. But can you imagine Ryan Johnson, like, considering what we got in The Last Jedi? Can you imagine Ryan Johnson writing out the script and putting in all this symbolism that we missed? And
Yeah, he never
Okay, so-
he never actually wanted to do this, but oh yeah, it's there. Yeah.
so Ryan Johnson, you know, he's going to here's the I'm going to have the ship go into hyperdrive and smashing the other ships. Also, they put some symbolism in here about the teats and Rey not coming to terms with her female sexuality. Also, some really cool space battles and Poe's flying through the air. Also, let's see, I'm throwing some fire, some water, some wind in the earth so I can connect to the females. Spirituality, and have Rey begin her descent. But also, I want some cool little skippers that go through some salt that turn red when they go through it. And it's gonna be awesome. Also, I want to imagine Ryan Johnson putting this in his script, considering what we got from the final product of the movie. Like Canto Bite. Also, I want to put in some other symbolism.
Yeah, the broken champagne glasses represent the patriarchy being smashed by.
I'm still pressing X to doubt here.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
The tree contains higher knowledge. It is cast in fog. Its limbs are twisted and raised to the sky. Light shines through it. The tree represents air.
What?
No. Wait, what?
Doesn't it represent the earth because the tree is a tree?
I thought, yeah, I would think so. If you were to present me a tree and ask me what element does it symbolize, I would say earth or wood or something like that. I wouldn't say air.
Yeah, I seem to remember my.
I would not say air.
My Seiken Densetsu or Secret of Mana, all the cutesy characters that had powers. There was Ifrit, the fire spirit. There was Undine, the water spirit. Like there was all these mythical creatures. And a tree was definitely, or a rock guy was definitely the earth spirit. I can't remember the actual name of it, but I wouldn't associate a tree with air. That is okay. I mean, maybe this is the way you interpret trees now. I don't know. Again, we have no avenue to this brain of hers that she's telling us how this works. So okay.
It is the holder of the Jedi texts, so we know it represents the light side of the Force. It represents the future in its hopeful symbolism.
What? Why? How? When? What? How do books represent the future?
Hopeful symbolism.
Didn't Yoda say that they're useless because Rey already has the knowledge?
He burned down the tree with fire so that it symbolizes destroying of the knowledge. Is that part of the heroine's journey? Destroying knowledge?
Destroying knowledge, burning down the air.
That sounds pretty feminist to me. Destroying knowledge, destroying hope. So, because you just said the books represent hope. So what does burning them down mean?
Because there's no hope.
Because the script said this was a good thing. Okay, the script presented that as a good thing. So what does that mean to me? What does that mean? That burning down hope is a good thing?
I don't know. This is going so weird. It's like first we started with the alien lactating, then we have the tree being with the wind, and now it represents the future and the hope of the Jedi. Okay, sure. Wow, this is
Also,
deep.
I would really like if they could be more overt with connecting what step what step are we looking at right now? What is this? Like, what is?
No, God, don't even bother, man.
What step of the heroine's journey are we at right now?
We're so far gone from that. We're in a whole other world.
This is the center of our video is the heroine's journey. So could you please explain a little bit to me, in a little bit more depth, where we are at this moment in the movie?
Apparently, when you use symbolism, you can use it to explain anything. So she could have been talking about how is Rey like the Midas Man, or how is Rey like big boys, you know?
Oh, right. The symbolism argument. Okay.
Yeah, it's, oh yeah, you see this, and this connects to that, and this is the blue, and she's also like, oh yeah, okay. Earth, air, fire, and you know.
It could also represent puberty and Rey's.
It could also. Okay.
Wait, what? Hold up. Puberty? Is it because she's gaining knowledge?
Is Rey of age? Is she?
I don't think I don't think puberty. Okay, maturity. Now that's different. That's where you gain knowledge and you gain wisdom. Where puberty, that's you just developing into something. Your more developed form. So.
But how did we get from trees representing the future and air now representing?
I think because she's trying to link puberty to the knowledge contained in the tree, because puberty means you gain knowledge, and maturity means you gain knowledge and wisdom. Puberty, not so much. Maybe there's a mistaken terminology there.
I certainly hope so, because I'm already confused. So I don't. I can't make these connections that she's drawing. I should write this down, but I don't think it's going to help.
Transition from a youth to a woman.
A youth to a woman?
Youth to a woman.
So
okay.
when you hit puberty, you're a woman? Really?
I guess so. I suppose that according to this video, yes, that's true. That's why I say she should have used the word maturity.
Maybe we should give her a little lesson on how females grow and the stages of childhood to adolescence to pre-adulthood to adulthood, etc. Because
I'm fairly certain she probably should have used the word maturity. I think maybe that's what she would have meant, is maturity. So I hope so.
I certainly hope so.
The entrance to the tree is shaped like a female organ.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, here we go. Yeah,
this has nothing to do with feminism. Absolutely nothing.
That's an entrance to a tree.
A doorway is now a female organ. Thank you so much.
What were you thinking a doorway to a tree would look like? Nice square.
Every time I see that, I think of female genitalia. I don't know about you. It just crosses my mind every time. It's just.
And this bolsters my feminist argument even more. Like, this is because they see vaginas everywhere. They're obsessed with vaginas, and they're obsessed with periods.
Oh God!
So, I mean, you're not really convincing me that this is not feminist schlock or feminist theory.
I don't know. Where do we go from here, guys? I don't know.
Is this lightsaber a dick then?
Oh my God!
If you're going to this kind of symbolism from absolutely nowhere.
When you see a vacuole in an amoeba, it immediately makes me think of feminine organs.
That's a feminine organ.
Representing birth. Rey goes into it willingly.
No.
This can
No.
be interpreted-
Wait. No. What? Birth? What is it? Reverse birth? She's going into the tree. She's not coming out of the tree. Is there a birth where you put the baby back in? So, and not only is she going into the tree, she's going into the tree to grow. You want birth. You want birth to,
this is so wrong.
And you aren't like injected with some sort of like knowledge inside the womb, and all sorts of weird things. So it's kind of the womb teaches you facts.
I'm so glad I had a few drinks before this, but this is not this is not working for me, guys.
I would, if she were coming out of the tree, then you can make an argument for birth, but she's going into the tree.
Good Lord.
Is the inside of the tree the actual world, and she's being birthed from the outside to the inside?
Stop it. This is not making any sense. It's hurting myself. Okay. Let's see what she has to tell us about the uterus next, I suppose.
as Rey symbolically seeing a part of her future.
Her future by looking at books. Okay. Okay. Well, we'll go with that. I'm down.
Children, future Jedi.
What children? What are you talking about?
Okay, maybe future Jedi. Okay, maybe she's going to those symbolize her future as a Jedi, but future children? How? Because of knowledge? Those are Jedi texts.
I thought the Jedi don't have sex. What's going? Wait, what the hell?
Yeah, that was Anakin Skywalker's whole deal. That's why he had to keep secret his relationship with the Amidala.
Oh my!
They changed that. Is that something that's changed since the prequel?
Okay, we're in the womb.
A sophistic autistic says Rey is a sperm and she was aborted by her. Now, that would actually make more sense. And if she were going with her symbolism that Rey is symbolizing birth by going into a tree, and she's not actually the baby being birthed, she's actually a sperm, and she's going in to fertilize some eggs.
This is, this is the interphase, and there's prophase, and there's metaphase. Then we go to the pattern of anaphase and telophase, and then we repeat as there's more cell division. It's like, okay, how far do we take this? Meiosis analogy.
I'm thinking, because she's not explaining it too well, but I'm pretty sure at this moment, at this stage in the heroine's journey, we are in the initiation and descent to the goddess. So this is supposed to be, as far as I'm understanding, this is the descent to the goddess. So
which could, as far as we're concerned, could be the descent of the ovum into the uterus. if we're taking this at face value for what she's saying.
Then after this should be the urgent yearning to reconnect with the feminine. That's the next step in the journey.
Okay, whatever that could mean, because so far the tree represents a uterus of some kind.
And raise a sperm.
And raises, I don't know. I don't know.
Rey claims inside of the tree that she is from nowhere.
Where are you from?
Okay.
No one's from nowhere.
Jakku.
All right, that is pretty much nowhere.
Again, Rey is searching for belonging, and in this place feels closer than ever to an answer.
Because she says she's from nowhere? What? Where are you from? I don't know. Nowhere. Okay. I want to belong, please. What? No. That has nothing. How did the conversation go from, hey, I'm from nowhere, can I belong?
If she were written as a human and by a human, if she were really wanted.
Oh, I think I lost you there, sir. Mr. Literature Devil, where are you? Da-dee-da-dee-da. I'm just filling in the dark space where Literature Devil has mysteriously lost, hopefully not into any dark realm upon which, well, the symbolism cannot be found. You can chat. I'm gonna hope he's still there. He's still on the call, as you can see on screen, folks, but I don't actually hear him, and I'm gonna try, hopefully, communicating to there. Hello, sir. Are you still there? He seems to have lost us. Maybe the symbolism got to him, and his connection to the Force has been disrupted as a result of all this amazing tree diagrams I was forced to make as I learned about vaginas and feminist components, or non-feminist components, as the author was stating. So we are 5 minutes in, 11 minutes and 20 seconds. And if he doesn't come back in another minute, we could always do it again in a second video and continue from there on. If you guys want us to continue. Honestly, I don't think we're going to get too much out of this. But if you guys want us to continue in a second video when we get Literature Devil back, we can certainly continue from there. Only if you want to, because honestly, I don't think we're going to derive any more information that will help us learn what the heroine's journey actually is, considering it doesn't actually contain the heroine's journey. It's just this author's interpretation of symbolism, of Rey's sense of belonging or lack thereof. So yeah, we can continue, and we'll get back to you guys. I'm going to connect back with Mr. LiteratureDevil. Oh, he's left the chat. Maybe he's going to come right on back. I don't know. He is disconnected. So we're going to start up another stream in a few minutes. Thanks for being patient. We do apologize for the technical difficulties. But don't you fret. We'll be right back in the next chat.